There we go. We're on. We're live, Jenny. I was waiting for the red button to go. So that being in the recording studios and the studios of Pebble Mill, waiting for the red light to go for all of you people who are old enough to remember what the hell Pebble Mill was.
I've no idea what Pebble Mill is, so I'll leave that with you.
You've just left it out to dry there, haven't you? So, hi everybody, it's Michael and Jenny here, and welcome to the Lincoln Property and Mortgage Show. We're coming live to you again this evening. We had a really good interaction and feedback from last week's show. Some really good questions that were put forward as well. So really appreciated your input. So as ever, if you'd like to get involved in tonight's show, please either, well, first of all, like obviously the broadcast this evening. That also just helps with us sharing and getting the message out. But if you've got any questions, any comments, bottom right hand corner, you've got the comments box. Again, please feel free to put any comments in there. But again, add your name so we know who you are. But we've got a really interesting subject coming up today, all about online business and valuations and all sorts. So we're really looking forward to talking to you about that. But let's get started over with the credits and then we'll dive straight in. And with that, we've got some people watching already, Jenny. So welcome on board, everybody. Thanks for joining us this evening. So we opened up by just letting you know we're going to be talking about online platforms tonight. And Jenny, I'm going to let you lead this week. You've obviously had some sort of recent experience of that sort of that sort of platform. So you fire away to start off with.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. So, yeah, tonight is all about sort of online calculators, how they work for both mortgage affordabilities and also the valuation side of things when we've all typed in our postcode to see exactly what our homes are worth or what the neighbours down the street has just bought or sold their house for. So I'm going to sort of touch on mortgage calculators. Now, I'm not a fan of mortgage calculators. I'll just put it straight out there for everyone to hear. So I do use mortgage calculators in my job, but what I find is a lot of people that are using the online calculators, and there's some really big portals, Compare the Market, Money Supermarket, to name a couple, that go out there and say, give us your details, pop it all in, and we'll tell you exactly how much you can borrow. Now, in theory, you would think that would be fantastic, but there's reason there is not just one lender in this world, there is several lenders, is because each lender will have a particular criteria. Each lender will view different types of income in different ways. So, for example, if you are a self-employed borrower, there's certain lenders that are going to give you more for your money than if you, say, went to another lender. So as a mortgage broker, I'm definitely going to be directing my inquiries to those types of lenders. So why I understand everyone wants to know how much they can borrow and they type their information in, they don't necessarily give you the right answer. When we're looking at your mortgage affordability, we do really need to be really specific. So, for example, if you have child benefit or child maintenance, there's some lenders that will use that at what we call 100%. So you get 100% for that income. They're going to use the full whack for you. And then there's other lenders that are only going to use 60% of that. Now, if you knew that information, you may only be putting 60% of that information into the calculator, but then their calculator behind will take off the 40% and just leave it at 60%. So this is why I say this: online calculators really do not give the information that you need, and it's about having the experience and the knowledge to know A, which lender we should be going to be able to do that, but B, also putting the right information in at the right time. I see and speak to lots of people that have put things like mobile phones in there. They've put in there their utility bills. For the most part, none of that needs to go into an online calculator. But what they miss off is things like their car loan, because they don't see their car loan as an outgoing. That is classed as a personal loan. So that will need to go into the mortgage affordability calculations and calculator. And that's why I just feel that on the whole, they really don't do the justice and give you the right information. So I would always say stay away from those mortgage calculators unless you are fully qualified mortgage broker. Speak to a mortgage broker. Yes, we use them. I use them like hourly, but I'm using different ones for different clients. When you have a call with me, I'll always say to you, I'll do 3 and give you a range of what that mortgage affordability is. And they will be 3 different ones depending on what my client income is, what their credit file is, what they're looking to achieve. So it's that range that we need to do. And that's why I honestly think you need to stay away from the online calculators. They're not going to give you the information that you really need because you just don't know what information they want and you don't know what the lender's criteria are. So stay away from them and just speak to a mortgage broker. Give them your details and we're the ones that will be able to tell exactly how much you can borrow and how much it's going to cost you on a monthly basis.
Great advice, Jenny. Do you think there's any particular reason why people go online initially? Do you think it's the bit of they don't like going in initially and talking to an advisor? They feel a bit daunted going into a bank, maybe. If you can get an appointment in a bank these days, do you find the part of the beginning of that funnel and that journey of when people are looking to find out that affordability? Do you tend to find it at a certain point in their journey, or is it people who are looking at remortgaging or moving, or what? I mean, I know that's covered a lot of different sort of criteria there, but what's your sort of experience about people who've using them and why, would you say?
So that is a great question, to be fair. And I do feel that people use them to dip their toes in the water. So what can we actually afford? We've got this vision in our mind. Is that doable? And it is that first stage of just having a look. Can we achieve potentially what we want to achieve?
Yeah.
No one wants to ring up a mortgage broker for them to turn around and say, look, you're way off. So there's definitely that element of dipping your toes and making sure that it's possible to start with. I find a lot of first-time buyers or people who may be moving to their second home will look at mortgage calculators. And you go on any sort of website and some sort of calculator is going to pop up, whether that's a valuation, a stamp duty calculator, a mortgage calculator, any sort of website, something's going to pop up for you. So I do think you're absolutely right, Mike. It is about understanding that initial phase and getting over that first hurdle as actually, is this possible or is it a bit of a pipe dream? What I find is as well, and on that, I'd have lots of people that wouldn't just pick up the phone and ask me a question. They want to send me a WhatsApp or a message because it's just that initial bit where actually it's less personal to them. It's absolutely fine. No issues with that at all. That's how most of my inquiries come through. So yeah, absolutely. I think it's those first time buyers and people looking for their second homes that are a little bit unsure and just want to see what they can achieve before they really go wholeheartedly in with their heart and mind.
Can I just pick up on again something you just mentioned there? You said about it's sometimes one of the ways that business has been referred over to you, and I think you said that you use them. So just to clarify there, is it something that you use in regard to mortgage calculators, that even on the company that you use and work for, that you've got calculators in there that sort of brings data into you so you can then go back and help them with more information? Is that how it works with you?
Yeah, so there are some. So on our website, there's some calculators that you can go in, and they are just the averages. We don't on those calculators, we don't actually take any data from it as such. From our end, it's kind of just that stepping stone, and then it will lead you if you want to raise the inquiry there. So it will lead you into that side of things.
The reason I ask that is because, again, we're going to talk about how I use online and how online valuation platforms in regard to estate agency works. And a lot of that is just data gathering, brand awareness, and will pull you into sometimes even just, it's quite a ruthless marketing tunnel. It's what happens after that online valuation goes on that I'm going to discuss. So, yeah, I was just keen on sort of seeing, often are you finding that, people that have used them then will reach out to you? Is that sometimes the conversation they start off with? I've been on a calculator that can tell me I can do this. So they almost come to you going, look, I've done all of this. I've done half of your job for you. I just need you to sort of put the application in. Do you get sort of scenarios of that where you have to then unravel it and work on that?
Yeah, sometimes I do, but mainly what happens is that, people go onto the online calculators and go, right, I think I can afford this. Yes, that sits within my budget. If it sits within what they were looking at, fantastic. They'll just pick up the phone or contact me to book that appointment. Then halfway through that appointment, I thought, oh yeah, that's what I thought I could get, or that's nowhere near what I thought I could get because I tried this and I did this before. So it does usually come out, but initially I think you either get it massively wrong.
Yeah.
Either way, you're either going to really inflate how much you can borrow, or you've undersold yourself completely. If I'm honest, it tends to go one way or the other. Very few people actually use those calculators and get it spot on what they can afford realistically.
And I think in summary, that's exactly the reason why they then need to go and talk to an advisor like yourself to get the job done as best they possibly can for that client in that set of circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I always say, look, I'm not an electrician. I'm never going to go rewire my home. I'm just going to find someone that can do that. You know, most people, you know, the plumbers, the tradesmen, whoever you are, you're not a mortgage broker. So pay someone to be a mortgage broker. Let them do that work. Let them use that expertise to get you, which, let's be fair, is going to be your biggest liability, but also your biggest asset probably. Pay the experts to do that. And then you focus in on doing what you need to do on your day-to-day side of things to push that mortgage through.
Perfect. Okay, let's move that over then to estate agency. Now, estate agency online platforms is huge, like huge. And tying that in with what you just mentioned there, Jen, is everybody first of all is interested to know how much the house is worth and how much it's going to cost them if they want to sell that house and move on to another one. So these platforms are really very, very popular. So to give you an example, you've probably seen since the new year Zoopla's TV advert, which is back out there again, where there's the lady round at somebody's dinner party and she's admiring the house and goes, "Oh, I wonder how much this cost you."
Yeah.
So what that basically is that is to say, look, we can tell you the value of your home by visiting our website. You'll go onto Zoopla and hey, what? You're going to put your information on. What have they now got? Data. Because they'll now know that there's a trigger point that you are either contemplating now or are interested in the maybe 6 months, maybe the 12 months, maybe even a little bit longer. There was that keen interest. There was a spark of interest to know the value of your property in today's marketplace. What Zoopla then does, and other companies will often pass that data over, first of all, to use it for market analysis, which can be really, really helpful to the industry as a whole to say, look, in the first quarter of the year, we know that this amount of people have expressed an interest on moving house. That will also help with information where we're making predictions for the year. So we spoke last week that there were 10,000 new properties brought onto the market on December the 26th. That's a key indicator that that's the busiest and most productive day in agency on that day for, I think we worked out, it was about 13 years, wasn't it? Yes, now that's indicating what's probably going to happen in the next 3 months. And that's where that data will be used by platforms like Zoopla to predict where they anticipate the market going in the next 3 to 6 months. So that's one example. I use online valuation tools, and mine is governed again at gathering information and getting a bit of an idea of where people are moving to and what their situation is. And it's very much done on let's make it easy for people. So it's, it's like WeBuyAnyCar.com, get home valuation in 60 seconds. Now, the interesting thing here is two things. First of all, the content and the value of the information that you provided with. And that's something you spoke about there, because there are different platform providers that use different data points to gather the information. And there are some good ones and there are some terrible ones. There's a couple of things there. And, let me refer back to Zoopla. Zoopla have been around for many, many years, and they have billions of data points. Okay. So they are going to know lots and lots of detailed data and statistics to support the valuations that they're going to be putting forward. But let's make no mistake, you're going to have a high valuation and a low valuation, similar to what you said earlier. When we look at other platform providers, and I say there's some good ones and there's some not so good ones, and it depends on the type of data they're pulling that information from. It's nearly always all about the land registry, which, by the way, is always 3 months out of date. So if you went on there now and pulled information off, it will be referring back to information on house sales and completions back in October. Okay. but also different platforms pull in lots and lots of other data points out there. Okay, I won't name them out there, and I've used most of them over the sort of 30 years I've been in agency, and so I know which ones are the good ones, and also the ones that will give me the information that I will find useful. Now, what I mean by that is, to give you an example, how my funnels work is somebody can go on to my website and they can put in details about wanting to find out their home valuations. They'll get it through very, very quickly. And we always try to make sure that the information data point is as close to where we realistically think it is in today's marketplace. However, one thing to clarify, as soon as that valuation request has been submitted, you'll get an email from me and a video from me to say, hey, it's great. And I really, really thank you for using the platform. I don't know where you are in your start of your journey, but I'm here to help you when you are. But the details that you've been provided with will take from a low point entry and a top point entry, and you're going to sit somewhere in the middle. But also that data won't take into account any work that you've done on it. So if you've extended it, it might not know. And certainly if the planning application has either been a long time ago or quite recent, it won't know if you've knocked walls down, if you've put an annex in it necessarily, again, depending on the platform that you use. So you could find an example where a valuation is provided and you might be disappointed with it, but it won't take into account those things that you've done to it. It won't take into account things like new kitchens, new bathrooms, loft extensions, those sorts of things. So sometimes the valuation can be quite, I won't say misleading, it's based on the data that's out there. What's important, though, is two things. The first thing is first of all, trying to get the information as accurate as you can, but also giving you an option to convert that into a personal home visit valuation or even a virtual home visit valuation. Now, what I mean by that is on my platform, because I'll use that as an example, when that leads come in addition to that email and video from me, they'll also get an invitation to say, hey, look, if you'd like to find out a little bit more about how the value is in today's marketplace based on the work that you've done on it, you can either do a virtual valuation. And what that does is the client can get the phone out, walk around the property, show me the information, and I can base the information and evaluation on that. Not many people do that. To be fair, it was very popular when we came out of COVID. Yeah. Which is why agents adapted their marketing and their services to provide that. What we've often got is where we will offer a personal valuation for us to go around and say, look, let's take into account your situation, your wants, your needs, your timescales, and for an agent to do a more thorough job by going out and meeting the client in the property. Yeah. Because we've also talked about market value isn't always just indicative of, well, 3 down the road sold for that price and that one then went for that one. Mine's either big or small and worth more or less. The other thing to take into account sometimes is obviously the situation and the time scale that the client's working with. And that's something we've talked about before with your 5Ps and all those sorts of things. It's understanding that the value sometimes is affected by the criteria of the home seller. Okay. Yeah. So I think it's important that we mention that. So that's how it works. What I often find as well, for every three people that go onto the platform, 2 will put their address in and get the valuation and not put an email, telephone number, or any more contact details in, because they know they're going to get sales calls afterwards. And one of them will go through and give the full details. Okay, so it's interesting that when you've got the initial information that you want, a third of those will then go through and ask for more help.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say probably 50% of those will then turn into an actual physical valuation.
Perfect. And do you find, Mike, when you go to those valuations and you're talking, because I'm sure most people have had a sneaky look to see exactly what they can and cannot achieve on their home, that they're either really disappointed or really excited because the valuations that they've maybe got online when they've just done their little calculators is completely different to what you're believing it should be?
Well, to give you a bit of an example, live case example, they're either between 40 to 100 grand out.
Wow, that's a big difference.
Big difference, okay? So what I actually find, Jenny, is let's be perfectly honest with you. If somebody rings me up for a valuation on their home, They're not asking for a valuation on the home. They know exactly how much the house is. They know what they paid for it, when they paid for it. They know what house values they've done in the 5 years that they've been there. They've known every single property that's been on the market in that location because they've been on Rightmove for the last 5 years tracking it. They'll always argue down the pub that theirs is worth more than the neighbours down the road because they've got better kitchen, etc., etc. So the homeowner knows exactly how much they think the property is worth and what they want to achieve. The answer to that lies in what I believe comes down to the media, the marketing, the service, and the fee. Because an agent's job really is to go in there and say, okay, if you want to achieve that value, we need to understand how we've arrived at that figure, but also how my service and how my marketing and how my media and how my contact and how my client base and the benefits of using me will help you attain and obtain that figure that you are wanting to achieve in the current marketplace. And that's why I want to work with you by showing you that by using this platform and this service, that we can achieve that figure for you in the marketplace.
Yeah, makes sense. And like you say, I think sometimes when people are, especially at remortgages. So one of the things we was talking about earlier, Mike, was when you have a remortgage and people go on Zoopla and they are, my house is worth this. That's the lower end. So obviously they're only ever looking at the top end because everyone wants their home to be the top end, which is fine. I understand that. A lender is always going to undervalue your home to compared to what it is if you was to put that on the market for sale. The reason is really quite simple. They are looking at if they need to take repossession of your home, what they can sell it at a reasonable amount in a reasonable time frame for. When you purchase it, they already know that that's what they can achieve because you're buying it for that. So that's why there will always be that little bit difference. But I find that, and I don't know if you find this, when I'm looking at people's house prices and we're discussing that, especially for a remortgage, they are looking through almost rose-tinted glasses. It's their home, and therefore they were always going to probably value it more than so-and-so down the road because it's their home and they're invested in it wholeheartedly with their heart rather than necessarily with their mind and reality there.
I think that's a really good point. And there's something here as well that I often use in a conversation is if we're going to want to achieve the price that you're hoping for and expecting, what I need to do is I need to find a buyer who's going to be emotionally tied and as an emotionally pulled into your home as you are, that will pay the price that you want to achieve. Yeah. Now, I hope that makes sense. Is what it's like? You walk into a property and it's about a feel. And I've dealt with many, many buyers who'll just walk in and go, it's exactly what we want. It's on the market at 250,000. We'll pay them 250,000 because we don't want to lose it. And it's worth that to us. Now, I might have shown somebody around a property, the same property 3 days before, and they'll go, oh, no, I only think it's worth 235. Yeah. Why is that? Oh, well, it needs this and it needs that and it needs that. To them, that's what it needs to do. And that's how much the house is worth to them. And that's where it comes down to a really good agent. Again, I keep going on about marketing and media and those sorts of things. It's about how your agent compassionately can create a marketing package to get that emotional buyer. Bearing in mind what you just said there, Jenny, as well, is it still has to value up. Yeah. Because there are cases, and we've talked about this in the show. So if you want to go back, have a look through the previous episodes, but we've talked about valuers having targets on listing properties. And if the client has used an online valuation tool and it's coming at 250, the agent really thinks it's only worth 220, 225, but he's got a listing target to hit, and he can tie that homeowner into a 20-week contract. And because the homeowner's had that online tool and he's got to hit a target, he's going to list it. Let's be perfectly honest. Yeah. So this is where online platforms like this can be helpful to give some guidance, and I use guidance in there. But it really comes back down to getting for agency, getting 3 agents out. If you've not had dealings, if you've not had a personal recommendation, if you've not met with an agent on a viewing and formed that strength of relationship and trust in the agent, for them to come out and value property, get 2 to 3 agents out, a variance of different types of agents, from corporate, independent, bespoke, personal agents, all that sort of thing, to get the service, the fee, the relationship right to ensure you get the outcome that you want again, which I keep coming back to. But it is important that you're not taken in too much by the online platforms. They're there to serve a purpose. And, you know, there are tens and tens, probably, if not hundreds of thousands of people using them every single day because they're popular. Yeah. But I strongly believe that the homeowner 9 times out of 10 knows roughly the true value of their home before they've even gone online.
Yeah. And I think, you know, they're almost that starting point, aren't they? Like I said, you dip your toes in the water, see where you're at. It's that trigger that will allow you to move to the next one. And if I'm honest, most people who use these mortgage calculators tend to know if they are way out or way under. You know, they will know if they're looking at their income coming in and they're struggling to pay £800 rent, yet they're looking at mortgage payments of maybe £1,200. They know reality is whatever that calculator says, their budget won't stretch that far. So I think you're right. There's probably a place for them as a starting point, maybe just to see where we're at, but you're never going to be the professional, individual, personal touch that you will get with either a broker or an estate agent coming out there and doing what they do best.
Wow. That's 25 minutes we've been rambling on there. Time has absolutely flown on that. And to be fair, it's a really passionate subject for us both, isn't it? But we've had some really engagement. We've had lots of thumbs up, lots of hearts. We've had some comments in as well. Thank you for that again for your comment. I've just worked out how we can post that look so we can all see it along the bottom as well.
I know, it's pretty smart, isn't it? I learned that earlier, to be fair. So look, and it's gone.
There we go. So thanks, everybody. So look, if that has prompted any questions, as I say, don't be sitting there, you know, not sort of wanting to reach out. We're here to help, and that's the whole purpose of this, is to give you the information and the benefit of all of our experience and wisdom. We're quite a friendly pair at the end of the day. We just want to help people. So if that's you, please get in contact with us. The email addresses for both of us have been rolling along the bottom of the screen throughout tonight's show. You can find us on all of our social media platforms as well. And if you do so, please make sure you drop us a like and follow us. This show and lots of content is always provided by us. Jenny in particular, this last week has been putting some really good content out on all of the social media platforms. So if you've got any questions, I can promise you Jenny's probably answered it on all her socials already. So a great source of information. So make sure you're following us on those as well. So another great show. Jenny, is anything else you need to add?
No, I think we're all good. Stay safe this weekend. I don't know if we're going to have some snow later on. So yeah, don't let your pipes freeze. Keep your heating to a reasonable level. That's probably my top tip this week. But I'm a Southern softie, so what would you expect?
Excellent. Thanks so much indeed again for watching, everybody. As I say, the previous shows are all up on our socials as well. We're coming live, as I say, at 7 o'clock in the evening now. We're getting lots more engagement on for that, so I think we've definitely made the right decision there. But again, we really appreciate your support. Have a great week. Enjoy your weekend, as I say, if you're having a snowball fight, if it's going down that way. But keep safe, everybody. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Bye.